Welcome to Animal Stories for Kids. If you like our stories, please give us a 5-star rating, subscribe to our podcast, and share it with your friends and family. If you're listening on Spotify, you can support the podcast through listener support. Plus, check out exclusive show-related content and join the community at patreon.com/Animal Stories for Kids. And now, it's time for our story. Once upon a time, there was an Australian firehawk named Lorraine. Lorraine the Australian firehawk lived in a vast wilderness where the winds are hot and the environment is as tough as the animals that live in it. She wasn't any ordinary firehawk. She was actually not the most skilled firehawk either. You could say she was still working on her skills every day. One hot morning, Lorraine woke up and stretched her wings, ready to start her day. She began her daily routine, which first involved hunting for food. Lorraine the Australian firehawk flew and looked around for any animals to eat. But this morning was a bit different. She was not having any success getting food. Every time she swooped down and targeted a lizard, it would get away. She didn't just try once. She tried over and over again to swoop down and get the lizard, but came up with nothing. "What's going on today?" asked Lorraine the Australian firehawk to herself in frustration. "I can usually get these lizards easy as they run away out of the bushes. But why is it so hard today?" Lorraine saw another lizard, and so she went for that one. But still, swoop after swoop, the firehawk just could not get any food. And with a grumpy and tired squawk, Lorraine the Australian firehawk gave up and went to cool off at a nearby stream, as she does every day. All that hunting got her so hot, and it didn't help at all that she wasn't able to catch anything this time. She was so hot, and as she got closer to the stream, all she could think about was landing gently next to the stream and drinking the cool water. And maybe walking in the water a little bit and splashing around. Sounded great. However, her attempt at a graceful landing next to the stream turned into a splashy disaster, as a huge gust of hot air came out of nowhere, knocking Lorraine off her course as she was making her landing. And she belly flopped right into the water, splashing water everywhere. She was soaked and dripping with water, and she climbed out of the stream, feeling more frustrated than ever. But she wasn't hot anymore, and she was much cooler now. And so the water worked, but it was not a good way to get cooled off for her. Frustrated that her day was just not going well at all, Lorraine the Australian firehawk flew back to her nest so she could find some peace where she can forget the not-so-good day she was having. But in just the same way the whole day has been going for her, even a simple task to relax in her nest was hard and didn't go smoothly as expected. When Lorraine landed in her nest, she was so tired that as she landed, she didn't lift her head at the last moment, and her beak got stuck in the nest. And there she was, her beak stuck in the nest, with wet feathers, and her tail just stuck up in the air because she couldn't move. Lorraine the Australian firehawk tried to pull her beak out, and she even tried to wiggle out, but she was stuck. She had to squawk for help. "Help!" said Lorraine the Australian firehawk with her beak stuck in her nest. "I got my beak stuck in my nest, and I can't get it out." After some time went by, a raven finally flew by and heard Lorraine squawk. and helped her out. Lorraine the Australian Firehawk was so embarrassed. What bird gets its beak stuck in its own nest? And after such a long and not so good day, Lorraine decided to settle down for the night, hoping that the next day would be better. And to her surprise, it was. The sun rose up bright and early, and everything seemed to fall into place. She went hunting for food and caught a lizard. Easy. When it was time for her to take a drink of water at the stream, she landed perfectly next to the stream and had a nice drink of some cool water. Then she went back to her nest and gently landed and was able to relax. "Now that's how a regular day is supposed to be like," said Lorraine. It was a nice day for Lorraine the Australian Firehawk, especially since everything went as expected. And as Lorraine was relaxing in her nest and enjoying the day, an emu came by and said to her, "Hey, how's it going?" Lorraine the Australian Firehawk said, "It's going great. I just had a really nice day where everything worked out." Then the emu said, "Well, I'm going to make your day even better." "Really? How?" asked Lorraine. The emu replied, "I got a joke for you." "Ooh, I love jokes," said Lorraine. "Go ahead, give it to me." Then the emu asked, "Do you know what you call a pile of cats?" Lorraine the Australian Firehawk just stared off into the wilderness, trying to figure out what to call a pile of cats. And she said, "I have no idea." Then the emu said, "It's called a meountain." Lorraine the Australian Firehawk bursted out laughing uncontrollably. "Meountain!" laughed Lorraine. Then the emu left after its joke did its work as it made the Firehawk laugh. And Lorraine went to sleep that night in such a good mood. She even woke up and was still in such a good mood. In fact, she was still laughing and couldn't control herself. It was still funny to her. And this made Lorraine feel good all day. She was just in a great mood right when she woke up that morning. And Lorraine went out to do her daily routine as usual. But on this day, it was very similar to the not-so-good day that she had. Lorraine went out and tried to hunt for food, but she couldn't catch a thing, like last time. And she was so hot from trying to catch her food that she went to the stream again to cool down. And as she got closer to the stream and was ready to land, a hot gust of wind blew against her and threw her off her target again. And she crashed and got all soaking wet. She was cool, but she really didn't like cooling off like that. And so she decided to go back home. And she once again miscalculated her landing and her beak got stuck in the nest again. Then the raven came back. "Oh, it's you again," it said, as it helped Lorraine get her beak out of the nest. "You really got to take care of yourself, Firehawk. Are you okay?" Lorraine thanked the raven and said, "I'm more than okay. I'm great." The raven asked, "How can you be feeling great when you crashed and got your beak stuck in your nest again?" Lorraine the Australian Firehawk said, "Because I'm so happy. I heard one of the funniest jokes yesterday, and it was so funny, I'm still laughing at it. And I feel so good that even though nothing is going right today for me, I don't mind. And I'm still laughing at how funny the joke was." The raven then said, "Oh, wow, that's wonderful." Lorraine said to the raven, "Yeah, when I'm not thinking of fun and happy thoughts, A not-so-good day can be really not so good. But I realized that when I'm thinking of fun and happy thoughts, even if I'm having a not-so-good day, it doesn't matter because I'm still happy from my happy thoughts. Then the raven said, "Well, I think that's great. By the way, what was the joke?" Lorraine then said, "What do you call a pile of cats?" The raven said, "I don't know. What?" Then Lorraine said, "A mountain." The raven tilted its head and said, "Oh, I get it. A meountain. Because cats meow and a pile of them would be called a meountain." Not bad. And the raven flew away. Lorraine sat in her nest, confused that the raven just flew off. And she said to herself, "Well, that was awkward. I was raving about that joke, but I guess you can't wing 'em all." And the Australian Firehawk lived happily ever after. The end. The Australian Firehawk is not a single species. It's actually a group of birds that live in Australia that share a similar behavior. These three species of birds are the black kite, the whistling kite, and the brown falcon. These three birds are all known as Australian firehawks, but they're not really related. Whereas the black kite and the whistling kite are similar, and the brown falcon is closely related to parrots. Australian firehawks spread fire on purpose by moving burning sticks from one area to another to chase out their prey. They do this by swooping in and picking up burning sticks in their beaks or their talons, and they drop them into areas where they think their prey is going to be. This is both dangerous to animals and humans and can cause fires to spread dangerously. This also allows other birds to swoop down and catch their food too. Australian firehawks live in all kinds of habitats, such as forests, wetlands, wilderness, and the coast. But most of their work as firehawks is done on grasslands, shrublands, and savannas, where it's easier to spread fires and chase animals out to catch them. Australian firehawks make their nests out of sticks and twigs, and they reuse their nests every year. Australian firehawks build their nests up in tall trees. The Australian firehawk plays a really important role in the balance of wildlife by controlling the amount of certain animals so they don't get as big and overpopulate. Australian firehawks are protected by law in Australia. Australian firehawks can smell smoke from far away, which helps them find the fires to find their burning sticks. Australian firehawks can fly through thick smoke to find their prey. Australian firehawks are medium-sized birds of prey that have sharp talons and curved bills. Australian firehawks can range from 19 to 24 inches long, and they can weigh from 1 to around 2.5 pounds. Their wingspans can be from 34 to 59 inches wide. Australian firehawks have black or dark brown feathers that allows them to blend with the landscape. Australian firehawks eat mammals like rodents, bats, and other birds. They also eat reptiles like lizards, snakes, amphibians, and even fish. They can also eat insects. Australian firehawks can live from 16 to 24 years. Have you seen a real-life Australian firehawk before? If you have, where did you see it? If you want to write to us, ask your parent to email us at animalstoriesforkids@gmail.com and tell us what you think of our stories. We would love to hear from you. Thanks for listening to Animal Stories for Kids. If you like our stories, please give us a 5-star rating, subscribe to our podcast, and share it with your friends and family. If you're listening on Spotify, you can support the podcast through listener support. Plus, check out exclusive show-related content and join the community at patreon.com/animalstoriesforkids. Until next time, bye!